Hi everyone, I am the IELTS instructor at Advisory Center for International Education, which is located at Putalisara, Kathmandu. And after a lot of discussion with our team, we came up with the idea that we wanted to make an online IELTS online series. And in this series, I'm going to make online videos just like I take the classes and discuss about everything in detail about all the modules of the IELTS section. So this is the first video of that series, and in this video I'll just give an introduction to all the modules that we have in IELTS. And as you move on with this series, you are going to find detailed videos of each section. And you may find that some videos are about 40 minutes long and some are about 25 minutes long. So don't worry about that, because I have divided the content, and so in some classes we have discussed about the foundations of a question type, which is going to be repeated in other classes as well. So because of that, there is discrepancy in the length of the videos. And altogether I'm going to make 19 videos for this series, where I'll talk about each section in detail. So without further ado, let us quickly start. So let us first talk about IELTS and what IELTS is. I'm sure you guys know about what IELTS is, but I'll just quickly give a brief about IELTS. IELTS stand for International English Language Testing System, an English proficiency test for international education, right? So just like if you want to go to Japan, you should know the Japanese language. If you want to go to any English speaking country to study, you should have knowledge of English, and you should be proficient, because they want to see if you are able to communicate, if you will be able to communicate in that destination, or will you be able to understand what the teachers are teaching you, right? Also, IELTS or any English language proficiency test is required by any English speaking country, which is Canada, Australia, United States of America, United Kingdom, and others, right? Some non English speaking countries, such as Germany or Finland, may also require English proficiency, because there are universities which do offer courses in English, even though you don't know their native language, right? So, IELTS or other English language proficiency test is an obligatory requirement if you want to go abroad for education. Talking specifically about IELTS, it is accepted in more than 100 universities in Australia, while almost all universities in Canada, UK, and USA. So, just like any English language proficiency test that measures your skill on the basis of four modules, which are listening, reading, speaking, and writing, IELTS also does the same. And you have four sections in the IELTS exam, which is listening, reading, speaking, and writing. And we will talk about each of these modules in this series. So one important thing that you should know about IELTS is why should one take a paper-based test, or why should one take a computer-based test, right? So paper-based test is pretty straightforward, where you go to a physical location and you get questions on your paper, you get an answer sheet, and then you submit your answers in the answer sheet that has been given to you. However, in a computer-based test, even though you still have to go to to the exam center to take the computer based test, you cannot take it from your home. You'll have to go to the exam center, but you are going to take the exams on a computer. And one common thing between both of these exams are that you'll have to take speaking in a different day or on the same day, depending on how you have booked your dates, right? Now, the test of the speaking can differ from different kind of institutions that you're booking your date from. For example, booking your date from IDP may not give you a choice to book your dates, whereas booking your dates from British Council may provide you that option of choosing a specific date for your speaking test. um, so as I mentioned, in both the cases, you can choose to, even though you are taking a computer based test, you can choose to have a face to face discussion for your IELTS speaking test. Now, why should anybody take a computer based test? So there are two specific reasons, which is, the first one is, it is actually a little bit cheaper than paper based test. The prices keep on changing, so I'm not going to mention the prices here, but CBT is a little bit cheaper than paper based test in the current scenario in Nepal. Also, The one skill retake facility, which has been recently launched in the Nepali market, allows you to take only one module of the test if you have for whatever reason gotten a lower band in that module in the first test, right? And you will only be able to get this facility if you are taking a CBT. You cannot take a paper based test, and if you get a lower score in that, in just one of those sections, you cannot go and use this service of one skill retake. You must have to take a CBT to get this featured. Also, one personal recommendation is that you should only take computer based tests if you are very comfortable with typing and overall computer uses. If not, please opt paper based test. Now, talking about who owns IELTS. IELTS question papers are made by University of Cambridge, and it is delivered by two major institutions, which are British Council and IDP, which is based in Australia. So these are the deliverers of the IELTS test throughout the world. Talking about the types of IELTS, there are three types of IELTS, and there are other tests also that they offer. But since we are talking about English proficiency, we'll just talk about these three. The first one is academic IELTS, and this is applicable to all students who want to go abroad, especially for bachelor's and master's degree. In that case, you'll have to take the academic IELTS if you're going for education. They also have a general training IELTS, so we call it GT IELTS. Now, you may be required to take a GT if you are going for a vocational course or a certificate based course. If you are not going for a 4 year bachelor degree, or if you are going for a diploma course, in those cases, GT also may be accepted and may be required as an English proficiency requirement. And the final one is UKVI IELTS, which is basically a specific requirement by UK universities. And if you are applying to UK, please check for requirements if they are asking for UKVI IELTS. Now, the question papers and everything is going to be same in UKVI IELTS and academic IELTS. However, it is just it's all about how the exams are being taken. It is just a security measure that is used by the UK government. Again, coming back to academic IELTS and general training, there is a little bit difference in the writing section of these two tests. The reading, listening, and speaking section for both of these tests are pretty much similar. However, there is a difference in the writing section question types in both of these tests. Talking about the IELTS test format, as I've already mentioned, there are four sections in the IELTS. The first one is a listening section. Then we have reading, then writing, and finally we have speaking. So in the listening section, there are four sections. The total time that you'll have is 40 minutes for a paper based test. However, you'll have only 30 minutes for a computer based test. I have talked about this in detail in the listening module when we discuss those question types. I have talked more about this in detail. The total number of questions that you're going to get in each section is 10, totaling to 40 questions in the listening section, and you are scored 1 mark per question, meaning your total score is also 40. And the type of question that you are going to the types of question that you're going to see in the exam are 6. And if you are able to, and if you know all of these 6 question types, you are good to go to take the IELTS listening section. Similarly, moving on, there are 3 sections in the reading module. The total time that you get for reading is 1 hour. The total number of questions that you have again is 40, just like in the listening section. However, because there are 3 sections, the question may be divided unevenly, meaning you may see 13 questions in one section and 15 to 16 questions in another section. Again, you are scored 1 mark per question, and the type of question that we are going to study in this online series are 10. And if you are able to know these 10 questions, you should be easily able to tackle the reading section as well. In the writing, there are 2 sections. The timing is 1 hour, and unlike listening and reading sections where your marking is pretty much objective, meaning the number of questions you get correct will determine your scores, but in this case the scores are based on various subjective criteria. And the type of questions that we are going to discuss is, we are going to discuss 6 question types under section 1 and 5 question types under section 2. Finally, coming to speaking, this is divided into three sections. However, the division is not very explicit like that of in other sections. The timing is up to 11 to 14 minutes, depending on how much you speak. Some students even sit for up to 30 minutes with the interviewer, but however, you at a minimum you will be required to sit up to 11 minutes with the interviewer, depending on the kind of questions that they ask and how much you speak. Again, similar to writing, speaking is also based on various subjective criteria, and the type of questions that we are going to see in each part are general topic for part 1, specific questions for part 2, and further cross questions for again part 2, and some topics related to part 2 will also be discussed in part 3. We'll talk about this in detail while we move on with each module. So I'll quickly go through the kind of questions that we are going to see in this series. So for writing, as I've already mentioned, that we are going to see 6 question types for the section 1 or for the task 1 question. And these are the samples of those questions. So this is a sample of a bar graph question, a line graph, a pie chart, a table graph, a process diagram, and a map based question. For writing task 2, we are going to discuss 5 question types in this series. So it's pretty much straightforward, which are opinion question, discussion question, advantage, disadvantage question, two-part question, and problem solution questions. In the IELTS reading, as I have already mentioned, we are going to look at 10 question types, and these are the 10 question types that we are going to thoroughly solve in our classes. And in the IELTS listening section, there are 6 question types, and we will be solving these question types as well. And finally, for the IELTS speaking section, as I've already mentioned in the part 1, you should be able to talk about general topics such as work, study, hometown, art, birthday, happiness, and so on. In part 2, this is a sample question for the part 2 of the speaking test. For example, it's based on a structure, and this is a structure that you're going to get in the exam as well. Describe a memorable trip you have had, which is your main question. Then you will have sub questions related to the main question, and you'll have a concluding question as well, and you should be able to answer these questions in a time period of 2 minutes. And finally, in part 3, you are going to get more questions in relation to the topic that has just been discussed in part 2. For example, where do people generally go on trips in your country, and is it better to go on trips with friends or with family, which is relevant to the topic that we just talked about in part 2. So this is all about what we are going to talk in the videos that are yet to come. I'm sure that if you complete all of these videos, you'll be easily able to take the IELTS exam. I look forward to meeting you guys in the next videos. All right, thank you.